Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 20 of What If Naruto Pushed Himself to His Limit. Also, go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Naruto Was a Sasuke King over on Anime King. And I enjoyed that guys. And I also posted my new series. Go ahead and check it out. What If Naruto Was Given a Second Chance? So go ahead and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you're hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Begin the intro. So, the last part we left off, the group couldn't believe that Tsunade would punish Naruto like that for saving her Anbu, for saving one of her Anbus. But Naruto understood. She told him not to, and he still headed off, as they were just sent there to back him up. But Tsunade told him personally not to, so he accepted the punishment, as he had to do 31 D-rank missions, and had to stay in the village for the entire month, and not to leave at all. But he gratefully accepted, and if it was to protect Yujiyo again, and anyone else, anyone of his precious people, he would not hesitate to do it. After visiting her at the hospital, she woke up, as Naruto couldn't believe it. She saw him, as she started to cry, as she asked him why. Why was she still alive? As he told her that he saved her, but she was upset. She told him that she wanted to die and finally be with Hayate. He should have just let her, but Naruto smacked her across the face. As he started to talk to her in a stern tone, how would her friends have feel? How would he have feel? As she was surprised, she broke down and started crying in his chest. As Naruto just held her, she fell back asleep. As he ended up falling asleep as well. Next morning she woke up. She woke him up gently as Naruto jumped across the room, realizing as he apologized, but she told him it was okay. As Shizune came in there and told her that she was fine and she could leave. And Tsunade talked to her Anbu captain. She won't be doing any of those dangerous missions for a long while, as she was kind of fine with it, saying that she didn't want to kill herself anymore after a talk with Naruto last night. As Naruto brought her to her apartment, but she couldn't go in there, so Naruto told her that she could stay with him. As she came by there, she couldn't believe it, as she accepted. Arriving at the place, she was happy, as he cooked for her. She also slept, and that was the first time in a very long while that she slept so peacefully, and she really enjoyed it, as she was grateful to him. As the both of them started to hang out, going around Konoha, enjoying their time around the village, as she was surprised how close she was getting to Naruto. She even started to call him Naruto-kun. As she met up with her friends at the hot spring, they were surprised to see her here. As Anko found out that she and Naruto, as Naruto was across the next part, as he told her that he will see her at home, as they were even more surprised about that. She was talking to Naruto later that night, as Naruto was talking about the girls that he fell in love with on his training trip, and that got her sad. The next day she was walking with her friends, as they were talking about the CRE, as Kurenai did not understand, as she couldn't believe Naruto had to be with multiple wives, as she didn't really study the clan laws, despite the 3 of her students being clan heirs. So yeah guys, that was basically that's what I left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So, what do you say we begin this new episode? What? You mean you will have multiple wives? Said Kurenai. Now don't get your panties in a bunch, said Uncle. It's not really Naruto's fault. How is something like this not his fault? Kurenai asked. Hearing something like this really got her blood boiling. She has always been known as a serious pervert hater. If she found a guy doing anything perverted, she would subject him to her most powerful genjutsu. It was part of how she got her nickname as Konoha, Ice Queen. He doesn't have a choice, Yujiro said, before Anko could speak up, as Kurenai turned towards her. Whether he wants to or not, he's subject to the CRA, as are all males who are last of their clan. Wait, what if the last heir was a female? Asked Kurenai. Then they have to produce a strong male heir by the time of their 18th birthday, so their son can be placed under the CRA. You know how Konoha like their bloodline, said Anko. So you're telling me he doesn't have a choice, said Kurenai. Yujiro shook her head. It's either he chooses a minimum of 4 wives by his 18th birthday, or the council will set him up in several arranged marriages. Yeah, and he's not very well liked by the council. Well, at least the elders and the civilian council, Anko said. Why not? Asked Kurenai. Well, this is just a basic rumor that has been going around the IT department. But apparently, Naruto managed to kick off the elders and civilian council from all shinobi affairs. He basically stripped them from all power they once have over shinobi through some loopholes. Kurenai was surprised. She did not hear about that, but then again, most politics were kept away from public eyes. Still, she had noticed that Konoha forces were working a lot more smoothly due to some new laws that has been placed. She just accounted to Tsunade and managed to pass him through votes. She never knew it was Naruto. Well, while that is impressive, if he can do that, why can't he nullify the clan laws on him? She asked. Anko rolled her eyes. You need to read up on the clan charters, Kurenai. The reason he was able to get rid of them on shinobi affairs is because the laws said that they only have control on civilian affairs. It's just that over time they got greedy and thinking that they could do everything. And no one really talked to them about it. Except Naruto didn't take their crap. He decided to put it out plain and simple for them. And why can't he nullify clan laws? Said Kurenai, wanting her to get to the point. Because they're exactly that, laws. They were put in when our village were just created, you know. The council were going against the laws and trying to come over to shinobi politics. So Naruto simply kicked them off of that, telling Tsunade about it. But the CRA is a permanent law, so he can't break that. Well, unless he wants to become a missing ninja, Anko said. So, Anko said, I guess your problem is, you're having a crush on our little blonde fox, but you're not sure what to do about it. Yujiro found herself blushing again. That's exactly what her problem was. But there was a few things that made it harder to deal with. It's not just that, she said, as she pulled out one of the silencing seal Naruto gave her and placed under the table. I found out last night, Naruto is engaged already to 4 women. Both Anko and Kurenai eyes widening in shock. As Yujiro continued, I don't know what I'll do because while I'm sure I like Naruto, possibly even love him, I'm not sure the other woman with him will say, or that I can even share him. Kurenai and Anko frowned as they thought about the problem. As Kurenai spoke up, do you really love him? I'm not sure, she said. I mean, it's only been a few months since I started to see him again. I haven't seen him before that since he was 6. Even then, we have only started to get close in this past month, she said. Her frown became a smile as she started to think about the past month. Yet even though we have not interacted in a way for a long time, Naruto has done everything he can to help me. He's given me a place to stay because I can't stay in my old apartment. He is the one who brought me to my senses and made me feel alive again. As she leaned in, despite the silencing barrier being up. Did you know he disobeyed orders from the Hokage to come and rescue me when I was captured in the sound? Both Anko and Kurenai were surprised. We didn't. Is that the reason why he's doing D-rank missions around? Asked Anko. Yeah, Shizune told me that Naruto told the Hokage to shove her orders up her ass, and he came to rescue me. As Kurenai gasped in shock, as Anko had to hold herself from laughing her ass off. Yes, and because of that, he was given a 1-month probation, and he has to do 31 D-rank missions, she said. Wow, that was the only thing Kurenai could say. She was too surprised to make any other comments. Wow is right. Truthfully, Uncle said. I don't think it's that surprising. Especially how devoted he seemed to be to you and the people he care about. Personally, I don't see why you're not already with him and stripping him off his clothes and... Uncle, said Yujiro, as Uncle merely laughed. Time skip, Naruto spin as he sliced down the last clone that he just had in the Battle Royale. He was about to seal away his blade when he heard clapping. As he turned to see Yujiro, as she was decked out in her Anfu armor with her sword strapped to her side. As Naruto bowed, "Did you enjoy the show?" he said with a smirk. "I did," she said. "And I enjoyed so much I have to see how strong you got in myself," she said, as she pulled out her own blade and pointed towards him. "Oh really now," Naruto said, as he held his blade in front of him as well. The both of them looked at each other, and dashed forward as she swung her blade at him, as he dodged under it. As he turned his body and came up with a kick that would hit her right in the face. But she ducked under the kick as she slashed up, making him flip away as he landed gently. She then rushed at him and started to clash with his blade. He had to admit she was amazing with a blade. While he was no sword master, he was better than most. She was capable of blocking and dodging his attacks, and she set herself up in counter-attacks as she was ready to strike him next. Thankfully, Naruto had the advantage in speed and counter time, so he was able to counteract her speed and her strength and her skills. As the fight continued, Naruto jumped on the ceiling, as she jumped up there as well. As the two continued their duel, several tears were on their clothes, but neither of them noticed as they continued their battle. As Naruto jumped back as she made a slice on his legs, but he flipped over and landed on the ground. He looked up to see her run down the ceiling, coming down towards him. She slashed down at him, but Naruto stopped her, as he pushed her back, making her flip away. He came in a small stab, but she moved out of the way and let his blade slide against hers. As Naruto spun and came in a slash from the left, it was blocked by her, as she used her blade to redirect his blade. The both of them blade now over their heads. That was when she did something that surprised him. She removed one of her hands from her blade as she grabbed the front of his shirt and pulled him into a deep kiss. For a second there, Naruto froze as he felt her warm lips over his. But after having so much experience, he didn't freeze for too long, as he let go of his sword that dropped to the ground, as he wrapped his arm around her waist and pulled her to him. Likewise, she dropped her own sword, one hand going around his neck, the other running through his hair, as the both of their tongues started to dance together. For what seemed like an eternity, but it was only several minutes, as they broke apart. As Naruto blinked, as his mind snapped back to reality. "Yu-chan, what exactly was that for?" he said. She gave him a smile, as he seemed really nervous. "You know, that was a kiss. When a man and a woman..." "I know what a kiss is," Naruto said. I didn't think, and with me in already multiple engagements, I just thought that you would rather insist on..." As he turned his head slightly, trying to hide the small amount of embarrassment that he had. "Naruto," as he turned and looked back at her, "I know it seems strange and fast. Despite knowing each other for a long time, we never saw each other after you went to the academy. And not only that, you were young, and I was already in a relationship." As she paused there, as Naruto pulled her closer, as she rested her head on his chest. "When we met again, I was almost dead," she said. "I tried to get myself killed on missions, multiple missions. As she lifted her head up, you saved me, not just physically, but emotionally. I was all ready to die, and then you came and showed me that I had reason to live." As she pulled his head down, bringing him to another kiss, this one even more tender and soft. As she broke the kiss, "I am not even sure of my own feelings, but I want to give us a chance," she said. "If you let me, that is," she said, looking down. As Naruto looked down at her, a part of him was telling him that this was a genjutsu that he was trying to break, and another part had small Narutos in his head running around with flags that had the word scores on them. He thought about what this means if they did get into a relationship. He will need to talk to Mei, Yujito, Koyoki, and Konoha first. He told himself that he would not get into any relationship without them knowing. Hell, even Konoha was known to the others. They just didn't know that she was on the Akatsuki. After a moment thought, he brought his hand under her chin as he lifted her face up, as he brought his lips down on hers, as she returned the kiss with full force. No words were needed. The rest of their time together that night was spent sparring with something else other than swords. Time skip. Naruto hummed to himself as he flipped the pancake, the last one as it landed right on the plate. As he went over to the table, as he started to set everything up, the maple syrup, the butter, the orange juice. You seem happy. Naruto grinned as he saw Yujiro walking up to him, wearing nothing more than a bathrobe. Her hair was still wet, signifying that she just got out of the shower. As he took a moment to admire her beauty before walking over to her, as he gave her a light peck on the lips, leaning back with a grin, as he led her over to the table. I think I got a reason to be, Naruto said. Yesterday was the last day of my probation. Ah, Yujiro said, as she understood, as she started to eat. As she could understand why he was excited, as he could start taking missions outside of the village again. For someone like Naruto who loved to get out and move around, it was a godsend. As the two ate in comfortable silence. So, where's Fusan? She asked, looking around. She stayed over at Shino's, Naruto said. I think she is using the Nadabi power to create a new colony with him. I swear she stayed over there more than she stayed over here. She's probably into him. Yeah, said Naruto, as he thought about all the teasing he was going to give the two of them. It will be amusing to watch them squirm, especially Shino, since Shino didn't really show emotions that much. Meanwhile, deep in one of his bases, Orochimaru was coughing up a storm. His body was reaching a limit for how long he can stay in it, having stayed in it for 4 years. But he's been holding off himself, so he would wait till Sasuke reaches peak so he can switch it. His and Sasuke faced off against the Namikaze brat had sped up the process, something he did not anticipate for. He didn't even bother to question how that brat had gotten so powerful. Minato Namikaze was one of the few people that Orochimaru did not dare to tangle with. Despite knowing this, Orochimaru really underestimated Naruto, thinking that he would be that same little brat who always shouted nonsense. He should have known better, as he heard about the blonde accomplishments, but he thought they would just be a good motivator for Sasuke to get stronger and increase his power. A lot of good that did, right? He thought in a sarcastic tone. As the blonde was far powerful than Sasuke currently was, he knew that. Orochimaru was positive if he or Sasuke fought Naruto alone, they would have been killed. He was just like his cursed father, always ruining his plans. Orochimaru then winced out in pain. You're approaching your limit, said Kabuto, as he went over his scans over Orochimaru's body. You need to take a dose of rank 10 medicine or your body will die. I'll get it right now. I'll be back in a minute, he said, and with that he was gone. As Orochimaru started to cough again, cough up blood. His eyes snapped towards the door and a blade came right through it. He placed his arm in X motion as the blade digged deep in his arm as he moved his head. This chakra is his, said Orochimaru, as the door was sliced down. But this chakra manipulation, this shape manipulation, how? I knew it would come to this, said Orochimaru, ignoring the pain in his arm as he watched Sasuke. I have nothing more to learn from you. So you say, and yet Naruto beat you quite handily, said Orochimaru. With a chuckle, Sasuke glared at him as his Sharingan flared to life. He also beat you too. That means you have nothing to teach me now, he said. I won't show you any mercy even if you beg for your life. Sasuke started to walk in the room, forcing Orochimaru to move his arms, as the chakra blade in his arms stabbed right into the wall. Orochimaru, Sasuke said, as a seal spread across his body. You're weaker than me. There is no point in me sacrificing my body to you anymore. Big words from flanking Uchiha, said Orochimaru. You only wanted me because I was weak, and you couldn't handle Itachi. Huh, Mr. Great Sanin. Perhaps the world might see you as gifted, but considering to what Uchiha, you're nowhere near our level. Yes, and that is why Naruto smashed your Rasengan into your gut and forced me to save you, right? Orochimaru said that smirk when Sasuke snarled from the taunting. Had I not been there, you would have been killed. Perhaps you Uchihas are not all I thought you were. Naruto is nothing compared to me, Sasuke said. When the time comes, I will kill him, and everyone that he holds dear to show him that he is nothing compared to the might of the Uchiha clan. But first, I'll kill you. As Sasuke moved forward as the blade dig deeper into Orochimaru's arms, Orochimaru opened his mouth as wide as possible, body shot right out of it. This one larger than normal, as it had a giant head, Orochimaru's head, and the body was made up of pure snakes. I see, so this is your new form. Orochimaru chuckled. Sasuke! Give me your body, he screamed. Time skip. Naruto looked over at Sai, Ino, and Sakura, his teammates, for the first mission he had out of the village in a month. So what do you have for me, Bachan? As Sakura, Ino, and Tsunade got tick marks on their head, but they ignored it for the time being. I actually have several for you. It seems that with your public debut, everyone wants to give you missions, seen from what happened at Chunin exams. As she reached for a scroll, this is the one you'll be doing for now. It's an A-rank mission to guard Koyoke Kazahana, doing a diplomatic meeting towards the Crescent Moon Country. As Tsunade saw Naruto's face light up a lot. She of course knew about Naruto's relationship with the daimyo of the Land of Spring, having forced the information out of him, threatened of castration and beating. But she promised to keep that secret even from the council. She knew why, of course. Koyoke was a civilian. A daimyo, but still a civilian. And her samurai would not last 5 minutes against the S-rank ninja, especially 6 of them. She shook the thoughts off. I trust that you will complete this assignment, she said. Of course, Naruto, as he turned around to address his team. We will leave in 1 hour, pack for an A-rank mission, and meet me at the North Gate. Yes, understood. Okay, they said. As they left. Time skip. Naruto walked up to the palace in Harinokune as the samurais snapped to attention and gave him a salute when they saw him. Sir, Koyuki-sama has been expecting you. Please follow me, he said. We didn't even give him our passports, Ino whispered to Sakura, as she was confused. Normally, when going into a foreign country you have to show passports, and especially since they were dealing with a daimyo, that made it even more cautious for them. I know, that's strange, don't you think? As they were brought to a large double door with golden bracers, as the samurai knocked 3 times. Come in, a voice said. The door opened as all of them were given entrance inside. As Sakura and Ino marveled at the decor inside, how beautiful the place was. As Naruto and Sai didn't really pay attention to the paintings or anything, well, Sai did glance a few times, but he was not having the amount of emotions, just taking it all and smile. And Naruto has seen it all over the past years. As Naruto looked at Koyoki, he was wearing a traditional kimono of a daimyo, and she was writing something on a piece of paper. As the samurai escort stood there, Koyoki-sama, Naruto-sama and other Konoha ninjas have arrived. Ino, Sakura, and Sai were surprised. The samurai giving Naruto a respective suffix like that, Sama. But there was no time to question that as Koyoki got up and smiled at them. Welcome to Harinokune, she said, as she came around her decks. It is good to see you again, Sakura-san, she said. She turned her attention to Naruto and gave him a smile that was meant only for him. Naruto. As Sakura, Ino and Sai bowed as protocol dictated, but Naruto walked up and gave her a smile. It's been a while, Koyoki-hime, Naruto said, as he walked up to her, as it surprised the others. It is surprising, but every time I see you I can't help but marvel at your beauty and how radiant you look each time we met, Naruto said, as he raised her hand and kissed it. As Sakura and Ino gasped, Naruto speaking at a daimyo so formally, people has been executed for less. As they looked at the samurai for him to do something, but he just stood there like he was used to it. Koyuki smiled, and you were the same flatterer that I remember from the last time we met. Both of them smiled at their little inside joke. Well, the last time they met was a little week ago, when Naruto had called her, Mei, Yujito, and Konan to discuss the situation with Yujeo. This was just to keep up appearances, like they didn't see each other on a regular basis, something Koyuki wished that would end soon. As Naruto released her hand and stepped back, I believe you called us to be a part of your escort to Sukinokuni, he said. That is correct, she said. You along with 50 of my samurais, and several shinobis from the hidden Snow Village are to be my escort. I hope you four are up to the job, she said, looking at them. As the others snapped to attention, as Naruto gave her a grin. I think we can handle anything thrown towards us. She smiled. Good to know, she said. Now that that is over the way, I will have the maids show the three of you to your room, she said. Naruto, I would like to discuss some details for this mission. Of course, Koyuki Haim, he said. As the trio was confused as they were escorted away by the maids. As Koyuki watched as the door to her office were closed, she quickly pulled Naruto towards her and gave him a rather heated kiss. You know, with the way you're acting, one will think that you just want me to yourself, Naruto said with a grin, as they broke away. She gave him a smile. Maybe I did, she said. Do you have a problem? She asked. She squeaked a bit as he scooped her up in his arms. Not at all, he said. Have you not done it, I would have ended up kicking them out myself. So, the gardens? He asked. The gardens, she said. But first, we need to get the costume. As you wish, he said, as the both of them disappeared in a swirl of leaf. Meanwhile, Sasuke looked at the cut-up form of Orochimaru, the white snake that he had turned into, as his curse mark receded back into his body, as he turned to walk away before collapsing to his knees. Finally affected, are we? As Sasuke looked to see Orochimaru's head, as it was floating as the white snake body came together. The humors of these white snakes can even taint the air with their paralyzing venom. As Orochimaru's mouth opened far wider than Sasuke's ever seen. I am undying. You are just a Welch, whose jutsu are still too weak to kill me, Orochimaru said, as he launched at Sasuke. Sasuke's Sharingan eyes widened as everything went black. Meanwhile, Sakura and Ino were eating at one of the dining tables in the palace, as they were trying to figure out why Naruto and Koyuki seemed so close. Don't you find it odd, said Sakura. She took a bite out of her salad, the way they were talking. He seemed so comfortable with her, like they'd been on friendly terms with each other for years. As it was bothering her a bit. Well, in fact, the day that she saw Naruto return, she had knew that he had moved on with his feelings and not liked her anymore. Even though she didn't want to admit it out loud, it had really shaken her up a bit. I guess, said Ino. While she was also a bit jealous, she didn't really care as much as Sakura. But they probably are close. Didn't you and him come here for a mission once? Yeah, but that was a long time ago. We came together, but she was going to film in a movie. Well, there you have it, said Ino. Naruto is actually considered a hero here, you know. Really? Said Sakura in surprise. You mean you don't know? Sakura shook her head no. Ino sighed. Honestly, Sakura. Well, you know how the last Princess Gale movie came out several years ago. As Sakura nodded. Well, the movie was actually turned into a drama/documentary type film. Anyways, in the movie, Naruto plays one of the key parts and... Wait, Naruto was in a movie? Sakura asks. Didn't you see the movie? Ino asks. No, said Sakura. I've always been too busy to go and watch movies, so I never bothered. Well, yes, Naruto was in it, you and the others as well, but Naruto seemed to be in it the most. And during the ending credits, Koyuki personally thanked Naruto for saving her and her country. Well, said Sakura, I never really watched a movie so... And yeah, you didn't really pay attention to Naruto back then, said Ino. Neither did you, said Sakura. That's true, Ino said. It's too bad. He's such a hunk now. Yeah, so Naruto is in the movie, and the hero. That still doesn't explain how they're so close, said Sakura. Well, you do know that in the 4 years he was absent, he came here to film a porn movie with Koyuki, right? Sakura scowled. Yes, she said. She had not even known about it until he returned back, but hearing that Jiraiya convinced him to star in a porn movie, it nerved her to no end. Do you have to bring that up? She asked. Sounds like someone's jealous. Well, I have to admit I'm a bit jealous too, seeing all the positions those two did. You mean you've seen it completely? Sakura asked. As Ino started explaining details, by the end of it Sakura passed over my large nosebleed, making Ino laugh and had to drag her back to the room. Meanwhile, Sasuke was trapped in a fleshy room, as he could see all of the previous hosts that Orochimaru had taken over. Orochimaru emerged from the ground with this strange flesh thing around him, as his tongue was flicking all around out of his mouth, as he was coming closer and closer to Sasuke. Orochimaru, Sasuke said, as Orochimaru froze. Your jutsus are powerless against these eyes. As he felt several pillars dig into his body. The Genjutsu. Those eyes, he said. as he struggled to pull himself over there. They will be mine. Sasuke just watched. These eyes will never be yours, he said, as a smirk came on Sasuke's face. Moments later, he will have to do the body transfer by tomorrow, said Kabuto. This medicine would not work again. As Kabuto was walking back to Orochimaru's chamber, when he got close enough though, his eyes went wide. The door was gone, having been cut to pieces, and along the floor and walls were blood. As he ran up to the wall near the door, and slightly peeked into the room. Standing in the room was Sasuke, looking at the remains of Orochimaru, who was still in his snake form. The head severed from the body and the body sliced up into pieces. What is Sasuke doing here? As he looked at the snake, that giant snake is molding, meaning that the ritual is over. As Kabuto moved away from the wall, what the hell happened, he asked, wondering if this was Sasuke or Orochimaru. As Sasuke then turned and started to walk past him. Which one are you? Asked Kabuto. When Kabuto first saw him, he was positive that it was Orochimaru who was in control. But if it was Orochimaru, he would have said something by now, and have Kabuto run a medical scan to see if everything was working properly. Sasuke turned his head, with that smirk on his face. Which one do you think? As his Sharingan flared to life, and then all that Kabuto saw was black. As Kabuto could see in the room, Orochimaru was coming towards Sasuke, so this is where the soul transfer ritual take place. Several snake tentacles latched onto Sasuke, but before Orochimaru could take fully control, the cursed seal came to life. Orochimaru's eyes widened as the white flesh started to crumble. This can't be happening, as a strange creature started to grow and started to eat away the dimension. I created this dimension. How are you doing this? Orochimaru, Sasuke said. Against my eyes, none of your jutsus will work against me, he said. I refuse to let this happen. I am Orochimaru. I am immortal, destined to learn the meaning behind everything in this world. I will not die, he said. Kabuto's eyes widened as he found himself back in the hideout. Orochimaru-sama is dead. No wait, it's more like, I have taken over, Sasuke said. As Kabuto saw Sasuke simply walk away. Meanwhile, the group was currently on a ship as Sai was watching. Naruto and Koyuki were at the deck, as they were playing a game of shogi. As he wondered, examining them and watching them even closer, would that help him learn emotions? Over the 2 months that he has been with Team 7 now, he has been talking and meeting up with the members of the rookies, but he's still no way close to learning emotions yet. He's still off by a lot. Back with Sasuke. Finally! I guess I owe you a thanks, Sasuke, said Suigetsu. Come with me. We'll take care of you first. Me first, huh? Suigetsu pulled himself out of the water. What about the others? There are 2 left. We need to get Jugo in the north layer and Karen in the south. Do we have to? I can't stand those 2. I don't even think I'll be able to get along with them. I just need the 3 of you to cooperate. You don't have to like each other, said Sasuke. Well, you did save me, so if that's what you want, I'll go along with it. Put some clothes on so we can go, Sasuke said. Huh, well you definitely sound like a leader, said Suigetsu. As Suigetsu vanished in the water and appeared beside Sasuke, his finger at Sasuke's head. Let's get something straight. You're not in charge just because you took Orochimaru down. Everyone wanted to take care of that bastard. Someone was bound to kill him eventually. You were his preference, so he let you stand at his side, so you had the most chance to kill him. What's your point? I have the advantage now, he said, as he pressed his hand harder against Sasuke's head. He didn't move his hand. Nah, just kidding. Wow, your heart rate didn't even change. That was enough for me to know that your victory was not a fluke. I always heard how strong you were. Your squad was the one that defeated my old senpai, Zabuza Momoshi, wasn't it? Moments later, Naruto and his group were walking in a diamond formation around Koyuki, with him at the front, Sakura and Ino at the side and Sai at the back. As the group walked, they ignored the stares and the whispers when people around would stop to stare and find out what is going on. This place was great for entertainment. There was many gambling houses, casinos that had all kinds of games. This is a place that Bachan would surely love. As they made their way to the large blue palace in front of them, as the gates opened up as their entourage came into view. As they walked into a garden, a very beautiful garden, several high public heads were waiting for them. One of them were Mikuru Tsukini, the daimyo of Tsukinokune, and his son Hikaru. As Mikuru was a very tall man as he was wearing a very expensive blue kimono. Hikaru was a boy of decent height, fairly thin and wearing a white pants, with a shirt and a bow hanging over his shoulder. Daimyo Koyoke, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, Mikuru said, as he gave a small bow. It's nice to finally meet you as well, said Koyoke. I would like to thank you for agreeing to this. Not at all, Mikuru said. With our open door policy on trade, we are always happy to accept new agreements. He paused for a moment, his eyes looked over the entourage, as his eyes landed on Naruto. Naruto? He said in surprise, causing Hikaru, his son, to look up with wide eyes. As Naruto stepped forward and gave Mikuru a bow. It's good to see you again. You and your son look like you're doing well. Mikuru was about to respond, but his son beat it to it. Naruto-ni-san, Hikaru said, running up to him. As the boy ran up to him, how are you doing, Squirt? Naruto said, as he ruffled the boy here. Hey, don't call me Squirt, said Hikaru. I'm almost 11 now. Yeah, you're still a squirt to me, Naruto said, as Mikuru turned to look at the surprised Koyoke. I shall have my man escort your guard to your living quarters for the time being. And if you like, I can give you a tour around the palace. Yes, that would be nice, Koyoke said, turning towards him. As he turned to see Hikaru showing Naruto his new bow. Hikaru, why don't you and Naruto go out to the range around back? Hikaru nodded. Come on, I want to show you how good I've gotten with my bow. As he started dragging him away. Alright, I'm coming, Naruto said. So how do you guys know Naruto? Koyoke asked as she and the other 3 Konoha ninja follow Mikuru, as the rest of our entourage were being shown to their quarters. Oh, well, you see, we had hired Konoha ninjas to escort us around the elemental nations. They sent him and his sensei Jiraiya, he said, as he began his story. Meanwhile, Suigetsu flashed the blade around. I figure, since Jugo is joining us, I figure I'll need it. Come on. Let's head to the closest one, he said. Sasuke simply nodded as the two of them headed off. Sometime later, why didn't you tell us, said Sakura, as they had set up the perimeter around where Koyoke and Mikuru were having their meeting. You save an entire country. How is that not a big deal, said Sakura. Sakura, with our mission record on Team 7, saving a country is a norm for me, he said, as he gave an amused chuckle. I mean, how many people can say that they saved a country on a C-rank mission and protected a princess who was pretending to be an actress and saved a country that was locked in a civil war? Doing things like this just seem to be a rule when it comes to me. Murphy Law seemed to love me doing that. Sakura looked embarrassed, as he was true. Well, I guess you're right, she said. Man, I'm so jealous of you, Ino said. You guys always have some cool adventures. Well, that's just because I'm so awesome, Naruto said. Whatever, Sakura said. She would have said more, but a loud roar caused the four of them to turn around. Just in time, they saw a large white saber-toothed tiger jumping towards them, as Ino and Sakura yelled as Sai pulled out a ink brush and his scroll. As the tiger smashed into Naruto, surprising them, and started to lick his face. Stop it, Shenmue, Naruto said, as the tiger ran his tongue across Naruto's face, licking him all over and over. Seriously, Shenmue, Naruto said. Eventually, Naruto pushed the large tiger off of him, that just grinned at him, as he started to scratch the tiger behind the ears, getting a purr from a large beast. Naruto, you know this tiger? Ino asked, with a slight stutter. Yeah, he was here when I took my mission, Naruto said. His name is Shenmue. He even helped me in the mission. The guy that came to kidnap Hikaru, he bit the guy's arms off. Isn't that right, Shenmue, Naruto said. The other 3 sweat dropped as Naruto rubbed his face against Shenmue. Whiskers. Moments later, Sasuke and Suigetsu were walking down the corridor. What are you two doing here? As Karin stepped out of the darkness. You already sent us the moment we landed on the island, Sasuke said. And so what, she asked. Karin, come with me. I need you, he said. Her eyes widened in surprise. Why would I go anywhere with you, she said. I'm in charge of this place. Back with Naruto, the meeting was finally over, and all the nobles that was part of the council were leaving. As he walked over to where Koyoke was still speaking to Mikuru, as he waited for them to finish, When she finally finished, he turned to her. Koyuki-sama, he said, using a respectful title. I trust that the meeting went well. Yes, our negotiations are going smoothly. Hopefully sometime next week, we will have a good trade alliance. That is good, Naruto said. Now that the meeting is over, perhaps you would like me to escort you around the city. Maybe I could take you out to dinner somewhere. As he looked at Mikaru, so long as you and Mikaru do not have any previous engagements, he said. Not at all, said Mikaru with a smile. So, how about it, Koyuki-sama, Naruto asked. I would love that, she said. Later that night, Naruto looked through the window as he stroked Koyuki's hair. It was nighttime now and he could see the moon shining all over the place. As Koyuki was peaceful, sleeping on top of him. I'm lucky security here is so lack. Or, I wouldn't have been able to sneak into her room. Naruto-kun, she said, in her sleep, as she buried her face deeper into his chest. He just smiled. She was going to have a long day of meetings ahead of her tomorrow, and he didn't want to wake her up, so he let her sleep. Time skip. As the group walked up to the gates of Konoha to see the eternal gatekeepers, Aizumo and Katetsu. Well, look who's back, said Aizumo as he grabbed the paper and read them over. I take it the mission was a success. Of course, Naruto said. Did you expect less? As Katetsu chuckled, I heard your mission was to guard Koyuki, the daimyo. You heard right, Naruto says he got the papers back. You know, I saw that movie you two were in, said Katetsu. Did you too put those talents to practice? As Ino, no started to believe, as she saw that movie, and several thoughts and images passed through her head, as Sakura's face became intensely red. Remember what Ino told her? As Naruto sighed, somehow, I get the feeling that movie is going to haunt me for the rest of my days. He then turned to his team. Why don't you guys go ahead and head home? I'll give my report, he said. As Ino and Sai nodded and left. I need to talk to Tsunade-sama anyway, she said. I'll accompany you, she said. Sure thing, Naruto says. They headed off. You're late, Tsunade yelled, as she turned to look at Jiraiya. Where the hell were you? No, take it easy, Tsunade, Jiraiya says he raised his hands. You were about to say more when Sakura and Naruto walked in. Hey Naruto, how has it been? He asked, glad for the distraction from Tsunade's glare. Erosenin? What are you doing here, Naruto said. Ah, Naruto said Tsunade. I take it the mission was a success. Yes, Koyuki was successfully escorted and protected through the trades. As Tsunade nodded, it's a good thing you came back when you did. We have some things we have to discuss. As Naruto sensed a shift in the atmosphere, Tsunade sat down, as he knew that it was serious. What is it that you wish to talk to me about, Hokage-sama? He asked in a serious tone. Information has been coming in from other countries. I want to discuss it with you, she said. What information are we talking about? Orochimaru is dead, said Tsunade, and it seems like Sasuke was the one that killed him. Sakura's eyes went wide. However, Naruto's eyes narrowed. From what I remember, the last time I fought them, despite of gaining strength, Sasuke wasn't able to defeat Orochimaru. I doubt he gained the power in a short amount of time since our little scuffle. That means he killed him when the snake was at his weakest, when he needed to do that transfer ritual. Now that he's dead, Sasuke's next step will be... He looked at Jiraiya. How accurate is this information? I know for a fact that it's true. My most reliable source confirmed it. Then, he's going to come back to Konoha, right? Sakura asked with hope in her voice. Naruto snorted as everyone turned their attention to him. Sasuke coming back to Konoha? I highly doubt that, as Sakura looked at him in shock. But guys, that'll be in this episode right here. If you want the next part of this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to be posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, go ahead and check out the new series, What If Naruto Was Given a Second Chance? And I enjoyed that, guys. And I also posted What If Naruto Was Otsutsuki King? So go ahead and enjoy it as well, guys. Well, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Well, tomorrow. Peace.